So on the occasion of Ekadashi, we sing this song, Shuddha Bhakta Charanare. Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakta Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Premalati Karamula. Madhavati Bhakati Janani Jatane Palana Kori. Krishna basati basati boli Parama adhare bori. Gaura amara jesabastane Karolo brahmanarange. Sesavasthana hiribo ami Pranai bhakata sange. Mridanga bhadya sunite mana Avasara sadachache manang. Gaura vihita kirtana suni Anande hridaya nache. Yugala murti dekiya mora Parama ananda hoya. Prasada seva kurite hoya Sakala prapancha jaya. Jedina grihe bhajana deki Grihete goloka bhaya. Charana siddhu dekiya ganga Sukana sima paya. Tulasi deki juraya prana Madhavato Shani Jani Dun Gaura Priya Shaka Sevane Jivana Sarthakamani Bhakti Vinoda Krishna Bhajane Anukula Payajaha Pratideva se Paramasuke Svikare Koro Heta Shuddha Bhakata Charanareno Bhajana Anukula Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Hare Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Nitya Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaur Hari Bol. जुगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, श्रील भक्तिनाथ ठाकुर की, श्री प्रभुपाद की. Shall read the meaning of this song. Dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees is conducive to the devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. I observe with great care the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. As my dwelling place, I choose the greatest of reverence and love, the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. All those places where my Lord Gaurasundar travelled for pastimes, I will visit in the company of loving devotees. My mind always begs for the opportunity to hear the music of the Mridanga. Upon hearing the kind of kirtan ordained by Lord Gaurchandra, my heart dances in ecstasy. By beholding the deity forms of the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Krishna, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord's prasad, I conquer over all worldly illusions. Golok Vrindavan appears in my home whenever I see the worship and service of Lord Hari going on there. Upon seeing the Ganges, which is a river of nectar emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, my happiness knows no bounds. The sight of the holy Tulsi tree soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. By honoring sak, a green leafy vegetable preparation, a dear favorite of Lord Chaitanya, I consider life worthwhile. Whatever Bhaktivinoda obtains that is conducive for the service to Krishna, Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest of joy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौरस्वे नमः. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते. तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च दानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. We are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam, Volume 4, chapter named Jettage Parivrajakacharya. So here Srila Prabhupada is in France. So there is discussing in Paris. Accompanying Prabhupada on his walk were Shyamasundar, Aravinda, and the Paris temple president Hare Vilas. The spring morning was sunny, and Prabhupada, walking with his cane, appeared noble. Shyam Prabhupada asked, "Why are the householders in Maya?" When Shyam couldn't reply, Prabhupada said, "That's all right. That is their position, to be in Maya." So, Bhagavatam we hear, Pumsastriya Mitinubhavametam Tayor Mito Hriday Grantimahu Ato Graha Kshetra Sudapta Vitte Janasya Mohoyam Ahamameti. So, when man and woman come together, engage in sex life, the knots in the heart are increased, and the illusion of Ahamameti, I am this body, and everything in relation with the body is mine, that also increases. So the scriptures recommend that that's why Brahmachari ashram, then Grahastha ashram, then there is Vanaprastha ashram and Sannyas. So one who enters into Grahastha ashram also at the age of 50, the scriptures mention that one should enter the Vanaprastha ashram so that one gradually becomes detached and becomes more attached to Krishna. So that is what is recommended in the scriptures. Otherwise, if somebody just continues like that, then one may not be able to come out of this material entanglement. So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning here like that. So Grahasthas are those who keep Krishna in the center. Ashram is a place where Krishna is always in the center. But if somebody doesn't keep Krishna in the center of their lives, then it becomes Grahamedi ashram. Then he said that when he had gone to America, his plans had been to make sannyasis. But when he saw the free mixing of the sexes in the West, he had decided to let his disciples first get married and have a child, and then the wife could go to Vrindavan with the child, and the husband could take sannyas. Prabhupada laughed. Man becomes entangled by his family, he said, by his home, his bank account, his animals, and so many other things. As I mentioned, Ato Graha Kshetra Sudapta Vitter Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. So his consciousness gets completely absorbed in these things. So if somebody doesn't come out of that and practice Krishna consciousness seriously, so then it becomes very difficult for self-realization or to get perfection in Krishna consciousness. So, but generally we see that after 50 years also, sometimes we don't see devotees taking up to Vanaprastha ashram. So Vanaprastha ashram traditionally means going to forest, wife and husband, and fully engaging in Krishna conscious activities. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So traditionally, that is the Vanaprastha ashram. So, but in Kali Yuga, people may be afraid to go to forests, and also they may not be able to practice on their own. They need association. So in Kali Yuga, if one wants to practice Vanaprastha ashram, one can come to ISKCON temple and render services. Wife and husband, they can fully engage themselves in so many various kind of Krishna conscious activities and services. So that way they can remain attached to Krishna as they progress in age. Near the end of his walk, Prabhupada spoke specifically of Paris. Three things are prominent here. He said wine, women, and money. What do you think, Harivilas? Is this a fact? Harivilas replied, yes, Prabhupada, this is definitely a fact. Wine, women, and money. Prabhupada said that although these attachments were very strong, the Krishna conscious movement could overcome their influence. So we can see that Prabhupada gave higher taste. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So when somebody gets higher taste, naturally one can give up the lower taste of this world. Bhakti pareshana bhaver viraktir anyatrascha. So by increasing our Krishna consciousness, naturally detachment will come. Artificially, one cannot give up all these things. But if somebody seriously practices Krishna consciousness, then naturally one can give up all this. Sometimes some people, those who are addicted, they go to de-addiction centers, and somehow for some time, some period of time, they may come out of these attachments. But then again, after some time, they again take up those activities, because the sinful tendencies are not removed. But Krishna consciousness completely uproots the sinful tendencies from the heart. Like a tree is completely uprooted. So that's why devotees don't go to these attachments again. Prabhupada said that the houses in the Paris suburb with their attractive fenced in yards were excellent, but everything was being wasted for sense gratification. Although a French gentleman may have such a first class house, garden, wife, bank account, and car, he has no spiritual knowledge. Therefore, he would always remain attached to his first class possessions. And at the end of his life, his great attachment would lead him to take birth as a cockroach or rat or dog within that same house. We see in the story of Kailash also, Narada Muni again requests, but Kailash was not ready to listen. So he becomes a dog and snake in the very near in their own house, and we see that how he is not willing to go with Narada Muni to the spiritual world. So these attachments are so strong that the living entity doesn't want to come out of this. They become more and more attached. So Prabhupada is able to see that how people in the Western world, they have so many material opulences. Materially there is well-being, but spiritually there is no well-being. So Prabhupada says in one of the purports that material well-being naturally follows spiritual well-being. If somebody is spiritually strong, Krishna will naturally provide whatever is required. Ananya Chintayanto Mam Ejana Paripasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamiham. Narada Muni told Mrigari to break that bow. He was little afraid. What about my maintenance? So he said, don't worry, Krishna will provide whatever is required. And in fact, you will get more than what is required. And you please distribute that to others. Don't keep it with you. And as Narada Muni said, he had faith in his words and he started chanting the holy names continuously. And so many people seeing his transformation gave so much to Mrigari that it was more than what is required, and he was distributing the excess to other villagers. So we can see that Prabhupada, wherever he goes, he tries to see this world in a Krishna conscious perspective. He sees with spiritual vision. He sees how people are suffering because of lack of Krishna consciousness, and he gives spiritual solutions for those problems. Yeah. As Prabhupada and the devotees continued walking, Prabhupada asked Hari Vilas how he thought the temple's preaching was faring. Hari Vilas said he thought it would be successful, but that it might be a good idea to make extra income by starting a business. Then Prabhupada said, your business is preaching. Prabhupada said, if there are some householders, they can do business. So Prabhupada is very clear about what is our business. Our business is preaching. There is also book written by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, our family business, about book distribution. So Prabhupada is telling that is our business. Prabhupada also mentioned how preaching is the essence. Books are the basis, utility is the principle, purity is the force, and preaching is the essence. So that is the essence of all our activities. So our movement is especially meant for this. Out of the 7 purposes mentioned, literally everything is about preaching only, right? It's also about becoming oneself also becoming Krishna conscious. But if you carefully observe, it is mainly about giving Krishna consciousness to others. So in giving, we also receive. Because by speaking, whether others are attentive or hearing or not, at least the speaker himself will hear. And Krishna is also telling, Nachatasman Manusheshu Kashin me Priyakritama. So preaching always definitely involves a lot of risk and taking struggles. But if a preacher is ready to do that, then definitely you'll get a lot of blessings of Guru and Krishna. When Prabhupada and his party arrived at the temple, they found the devotees eagerly waiting for Prabhupada's morning Bhagavatam lecture. But there was no time. Prabhupada had to leave at once for the airport. He was returning to America. This ends this chapter. That is chapter 7. This remote corner of the world. Although Srila Prabhupada had been away from America for a year, his Krishna conscious movement had flourished by Krishna's grace. The devotees' attachment for him had grown. His disciples, having heard reports and seen photos of his triumphant tour of India, had felt inspired to increase their own preaching. In each American center, new devotees had been joining and were learning Prabhupada's teachings from the senior devotees. Already accepting Srila Prabhupada as their spiritual master, hundreds of newcomers were eagerly awaiting initiation. So there is a statement that the spiritual master is in his instructions and the followers are with him. Although Prabhupada is physically not there with all his disciples in US, America, but still they were sincerely trying to follow his instructions in his separation. And because they are sincerely trying to follow his instructions, they are actually always with Prabhupada. And that's why they are able to establish Krishna consciousness more and more and more. Although in the absence of Srila Prabhupada physically there. So sometimes devotees feel that there is no spiritual master physically, hardly one gets physical association. But we can learn from Srila Prabhupada disciples how some of them even never saw Prabhupada, only they got initiated through some letter like that. But they have taken the instructions of Prabhupada very seriously to their heart. So they are able to sustain, and not only sustain, but preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. How different was Prabhupada's first arrival in America alone in 1965? Walking the cold streets with no money and no temple. He had been ignored. Sometimes he had thought of quitting, taking a boat back to India, but he had maintained absolute faith. So, in the early days, 65, when Prabhupada came, we know that how it was such a tough time, right? For the first 1 year, nobody was supporting him. Hardly there were any followers. Prabhupada had to do everything. So, but Srila Prabhupada had faith in the orders of his spiritual master. So, then because of his sincerity, then Krishna provided everything. So, and now, less than 6 years later, in dozens of ISKCON centers throughout America, hundreds of disciples worshipped him and would throng ecstatically to receive him. Los Angeles, June 26, 1971. Then Prabhupada had left Los Angeles a year ago. The political turmoil there had troubled his mind. But on returning, he found the devotees recovered. Faithfully, they were executing his orders to chant publicly, distribute Back to Godhead magazine, and worship the deity of Rukmini Dwarakadish. In the gorgeously decorated Los Angeles temple, Prabhupada performed a large initiation ceremony, accepting dozens of new disciples. On June 27th, Srila Prabhupada traveled from Los Angeles to San Francisco for the 5th annual Rath Yatra. 200 followers met him at the airport. How many devotees do you have? A reporter asked. Unlimited, Prabhupada said. Some admit and some don't admit. Admit you are a servant of Lord Krishna and your life will be success. So, Prabhupada is basically mentioning that actually ultimately everybody is servant of Krishna. Some recognize that and follow, some don't recognize and they are, but ultimately they remain servants of Krishna. But now they are becoming servants of Maya, Godas, and suffering. After 2 days in San Francisco, Prabhupada returned to Los Angeles and on July 16 flew to Detroit. Bhagwan Das, Prabhupada's governing body secretary for the Midwest, had preached vigorously in his zone, opening centers in St. Louis, Chicago, and other cities. Almost 300 devotees, most of whom had never seen Prabhupada, assembled at the Detroit airport to receive him. Sureshwara. Devotees had come from all over the Midwestern US and Eastern Canada to greet Srila Prabhupada at Detroit's metro airport. A red and gold throne stood in the center of the reception room. And the devotees were chanting Hare Krishna and dancing, awaiting Srila Prabhupada's arrival. When the plane finally landed, all bliss broke loose. The disembarkation dolly joined the plane, but we couldn't see Srila Prabhupada. I became anxious. When would he enter the room? Suddenly a cry went up, and I looked around. Devotees were bowing down. Urukrama. Srila Prabhupada entered the room as bright as the sun, and everyone immediately prostrated themselves on the floor. Not like the other times when we bowed down together, but this was like an overwhelming force hit us, and we were being thrown to our knees. When I stood up, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was Prabhupada. Almost everyone in the room was crying. Indradumna. My first glimpse of Prabhupada was through the lens of my camera. I thought he looked just like he did in his pictures. I had only seen him in pictures, and now he looked just like the pictures, only moving. All the devotees began to cry and fall to the ground. It was a transcendental, emotional thing. I was looking, watching all the older devotees, how much love they had for Srila Prabhupada, and I was feeling unqualified and sinful. So, devotees, we can see that they are in so much ecstasy just receiving Srila Prabhupada at the airport. So much love and feelings they have for Srila Prabhupada. So once Harishauri Prabhu mentions that like this, he had gone with Prabhupada to some place and devotees were in so much ecstasy. And later, he was feeling that, oh, these devotees have so much love for Prabhupada, but I don't have so much love. So then he asked Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, these devotees, they have so much love for you. They are in so much ecstasy just seeing you. But I feel I have no love. So Prabhupada just said, love means service. And you are already serving me. Like that. So here we can see, I think Indranandana Maharaj only, that he is mentioning how he saw first time. And he is mentioning, he is feeling that how these devotees have so much love. And he is feeling that is completely unqualified and sinful because I don't have so much love for Prabhupada. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw that old lady uh, climbing up the Garuda Stamba, keeping 1 feet there, 1 feet on his shoulder, Govinda chastises her that how can you do this? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Govinda and said that, oh, this lady has so much love for Lord Jagannath. And he says, I pray at her lotus feet that I may develop a drop of such eagerness or devotion towards the Supreme Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels like that. He has no love, devotion. And he prays to those who have such devotion. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the fact I am alive, that means I have no love for Krishna. Because the gopis, in separation of Krishna, they all died. So he says, the fact I am alive, that itself means I have no love for Krishna. Urukrama, Prabhupada appeared powerful, yet at the same time delicate and soft, like a very wonderful flower. As he moved along very slowly, the devotees lined up and made an aisle for him to walk. He walked up to Kirtanand Maharaj, put a garland around him, and embraced him. Kirtanand Maharaj was crying tears of ecstasy, and he looked like a little boy next to his father. Then Prabhupada went to Bhagavan and patted him on the head. Then he embraced Bhagavan, who also began to weep like a little boy who has just seen his father after a very long time. So we can see that how these devotees have so much love for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is encouraging like a loving father. Vishwakarma. I arrived late. When I got there, I was afraid to look at Srila Prabhupada because I felt too fallen to look upon the pure representative of the Lord. So I stayed behind a wall of devotees, afraid to look. Finally, I realized this is ridiculous, as the perfection of the eyes is to behold the form of Krishna's pure devotee. I raised my head and I saw him sitting on his Vyasasan, drinking a cup of water. Never had I seen anyone drink water like that, without touching the goblet to their mouth. The water poured from the cup like a shining silver stream straight into Srila Prabhupada's mouth and throat. And he finished the water in a few swallows. He appeared to be a grand sage from the spiritual realm. And as everyone chanted, he looked around at the devotees, smiling with great pleasure. Everyone was overwhelmed with transcendental joy, and I joined with over half the devotees in weeping. So, we can see that the perfection of our eyes is actually to see Krishna and his pure devotees. When Kuresh actually lost his eyes, and later Lord said that you please ask some benediction. So Quresh requests that, "Oh Lord, let me only see you and my spiritual master, the Ramanacharya." So Lord blesses him with that vision. And later, actually, Quresh was able to mention what exactly Ramanacharya wore also. So Quresh didn't want to see anything else. He said, "Everything else of this world is a creation of your external energy, and I don't want to see it and get distracted. I only want to see you and uh, spiritual master," like that. We see even Srimati Radharani, when she appeared in this world, she didn't open her eyes a long time. And only when Krishna came, means when Krishna came and she came in contact with Krishna, there is a time she actually opened her eyes. So we can see that how the devotees of the Lord, they don't want to see anything else, uh, any form of illusion. They want to see actually Krishna and his representatives. But Krishna helps us to see this world in relation with him. That's why he speaks in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter and all, how we can try to see things in this world in relation with him, so that we can always remember him wherever we are. Then Prabhupada began speaking. This is very satisfactory that so many devotees, boys and girls, are taking part in this great movement, Krishna conscious movement. It is a very important moment because it is correcting the human civilization. It is a great defect in the modern civilization. People are accepting this body as self, and based on this mistake in the foundation, everything is going wrong. Accepting this body as the self is the beginning of all problems. The great philosophers, scientists, theologians, and thoughtful men do not know what is the defect. So Prabhupada found that, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned, the only thing lacking in this world is Krishna consciousness. So wherever Prabhupada went, he saw that people are suffering because of this lack of Krishna consciousness. So even when he went to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Prabhupada said, they have so many departments here for science and sociology, this and that. But where is the department which studies about soul? There is no such department. So just like for any building, the foundation is most vital. Without proper foundation, the whole building will fall. Right? So similarly, Prabhupada is mentioning that this knowledge of self-realization is a foundation of all knowledge, because uh, we identify with what we think or with the knowledge we have. If we think that we are this body, we always start thinking, acting in that relation, right? With false designations. But when we understand our true position, then only we will start thinking, acting in that way, right? So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning, although there are so many great philosophers, scientists, this and that, so many people are there doing so many various activities, but still the society is not happy. There is a mistake. What is that? Is this knowledge of Krishna consciousness? Because without this knowledge, people will not know who they are, so they will only think, act in wrong direction. So they may be thinking that they are doing so much advancement, just like somebody is going on a highway at high speed. So they may be thinking that, oh, we are going so fast, but they don't know what is a goal, or they don't know the right direction. With whomever he met, whether it is scientists or philosophers, whatever, uh, here as Prabhupada is mentioning, Prabhupada very straightforward talks of this. uh, Although this is the most foundational thing, knowledge of self, right? knowledge of soul, but most to 99.9% of the population, they are not aware of this. uh, or sometimes they may have that knowledge or awareness, but they don't practice it, right? So that's why Prabhupada came to establish this or share this knowledge with the world, uh, so that people come out of their suffering. Hmm. So Prabhupada mentions that actually how this material world, you know, he gives the example or analogy that how uh, preaching is so very important. He says that one definition in Bhagavad Gita he gives that for violence, he says if we don't preach this knowledge, that is also violence. So he gives the example that when the neighbor's house is on fire, and if you know that, if you know how to save them, and if we are not taking any steps to help them, we are silently watching, then he says that is also violence, because we know that they are going to die or suffer, still we are not helping them. So Prabhupada saw that the whole world is on fire. Uh, so that's why the spiritual master showers mercy, uh, a cloud of mercy. Samsara davanala naranida loka. Tranaya karunya ghanaganatvam. So that's what Prabhupada is doing. He's traveling all over the world and he's seeing that how people in this world are suffering because of lack of Krishna consciousness. And he is sharing his best, whatever he has received from the parampara, to this world. And he is also requesting his disciples and everyone to take up this movement very seriously and also sharing with the world. So we are very fortunate to have the actually Acharya like Srila Prabhupada, uh, who exactly knows the mood of the parampara and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and who gave this wonderful knowledge to all of us, not only to practice but also share it with the world. So, as we recite this verse, Nasta Prayesha Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Hmm. So, Bhagavat Seva is studying Bhagavatam and also serving Bhagavatas like Srila Prabhupada. So, to actually understand the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, it is very important for us to regularly read books like Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam, so we can clearly understand what is the mood of Srila Prabhupada, what is his mission. So we can try to understand and actually apply these teachings in our own lives. So we should feel so grateful to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, also who gave such wonderful books to all of us. So we should not, we should keep reading actually every week at least for some time, these books on Srila Prabhupada, so that Srila Prabhupada's personality, his teachings, his examples, his mood, mission becomes very clear. And we can also see that by just reading, hearing about him, we get so much inspiration. Hmm. So in Upadeshamrit, when it is mentioned Sato Vritti, so that means following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. And vrittis are impressions which are formed in the mind. So when we follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas, actually we get great inspiration in our lives, because there is philosophy, but also we need examples of those who follow the philosophy. So Prabhupada is such a wonderful example for all of us. And by taking inspiration and following in his footsteps, we can remove the negative impressions in our mind and create positive impressions or samskaras in our mind. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.